What if we told you the key to unlocking your full potential, financially, socially, and even romantically lies in a skill we all overlook, your memory? Imagine being able to effortlessly recall names, faces, ideas, and lessons. Sounds impossible, right? But here's the truth. Memory isn't just a skill, it's the foundation of transformation. The stronger your memory, the sharper your mind, and the faster you'll climb toward becoming the best version of yourself. In this video, we'll share 10 powerful techniques to help you remember everything for the rest of your life. These aren't just tips, they're game changers that will redefine how you learn, grow, and succeed. So, if you're ready to stop forgetting and start remembering, let's dive in. Your journey to an unstoppable memory starts now. Method 1. Visualization Technique. The visualization technique involves using mental images to encode information you want to remember. Instead of trying to memorize a dry sequence of words or numbers, turn them into vivid, strange, or even humorous images. Our brains are far better at remembering images than text or abstract information. For example, if you need to remember the name of someone you just met, like John Baker, imagine him holding a tray of freshly baked, warm bread. This image is not only easy to remember but also creates a strong link between the name and the image. Real-life example. Think about the last time you watched a movie. You can probably recall specific scenes, the plot, and even the emotions of the characters. But if someone asked you to remember a long paragraph from a book, you might struggle. This is because images and emotions stick in our memory much more effectively than written words. Another example, when learning English vocabulary, instead of repeatedly reading the word apple, imagine a fresh, red, juicy apple, and even the sweet aroma it gives off. You'll find the word much easier to remember. Why this method works? According to neuroscience research, the human brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text. When you visualize, you activate both hemispheres of your brain. The left hemisphere handles logic and language, while the right hemisphere processes images and emotions. This combination helps information embed deeper and last longer in your memory. Tony Buzan, the creator of mind mapping, once said, "Images are the language of the brain." When you visualize, you're speaking directly to your subconscious. To apply this technique, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Identify the information you need to remember, e.g. names, phone numbers, ideas. 2. Step 2. Create a vivid, strange, or humorous mental image related to that information. 3. Step 3. Link the image to a strong emotion, joy, sadness, surprise. 4. Step 4. Repeat the image in your mind several times to reinforce the memory. You might think you don't have a vivid imagination, but trust me, anyone can do this. Start with something simple, like the name of a new acquaintance, and gradually, you'll become a master at visualization. Remember, memory isn't something you're born with or without. It's a skill you can train and improve every day. Visualization is the first step to unlocking the limitless potential of your brain. Method 2. Active recall. Active recall is the process of actively retrieving information from your memory, rather than simply rereading or reviewing it. This is one of the most effective methods for strengthening memory and transferring information from short-term to long-term memory. For example, instead of rereading a paragraph in a book, close the book and try to recall the main points you just read. If you can't remember, open the book and check. This process forces your brain to work harder, enhancing your ability to retain information. Real-life example. Imagine you're preparing for an important presentation. Instead of repeatedly reviewing your slides, try standing up and delivering the presentation without looking at them. As you try to recall the information, your brain works more actively, helping you remember it more deeply. Another example. When learning English vocabulary, instead of just reading the word and its meaning, cover the meaning and try to recall it. If you can't, check and repeat the process. Why this method works? According to scientific research, active recall strengthens neural connections in the brain. Each time you retrieve information, you create a stronger neural pathway, making it easier to access that information in the future. A study published in Psychological Science found that students who used active recall were 50% more likely to remember information than those who simply reread the material. Hermann Ebbinghaus, a pioneer in memory research, once said, "We only truly learn when we try to recall." To apply this method, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Read or study the information you need to remember. 2. Step 2. Close the book or turn off the screen and try to recall the information. 3. Step 3. Check if you remembered correctly. If not, review the information and repeat the process. 4. Step 4. Repeat this process at different intervals to reinforce your memory. You might find active recall challenging, especially when you can't remember the information right away. But remember, this difficulty is what helps you improve. Each time you struggle to recall, you're building a stronger memory muscle. Start with something simple, like recalling what you learned during the day, and gradually apply this method to more complex situations. You'll notice yourself becoming more confident and capable of remembering things better in no time. Method 3. Spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is a learning technique based on reviewing information at increasing intervals. Instead of cramming all the information in one study session, you revisit it after 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, and continue to increase the time gaps between reviews. For example, if you learn a new vocabulary word today, review it tomorrow, then 3 days later, a week later, and so on. This method helps solidify information in your long-term memory. Real-life example. Think about how you learn your favorite song. The first time you hear it, you might only remember a few lines. But after listening to it repeatedly, you can sing the entire song without looking at the lyrics. That's spaced repetition in action. Another example. When learning to drive, you might feel overwhelmed by all the steps at first. But after practicing multiple times, with intervals between sessions, you'll gradually become proficient and no longer need to think much about each action. Why this method works? Spaced repetition leverages the spacing effect, a psychological phenomenon that shows learning spread out over time strengthens memory better than cramming in a short period. According to research by Hermann Ebbinghaus, a pioneer in memory studies, information reviewed at increasing intervals is stored longer in long-term memory. This not only helps you remember longer but also saves time in the learning process. The famous psychologist Bjork once said, "Repeating information at spaced intervals forces your brain to work harder, thereby enhancing your ability to remember." To apply this method, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Learn new information. 2. Step 2. Review the information after 1 day. 3. Step 3. Continue reviewing after 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, and so on, gradually increasing the intervals. 4. Step 4. Use tools like the Anki app or flashcards to schedule automatic reviews. You might feel that spaced repetition is a slow and time-consuming process, but remember, it's the most effective way to ensure information is stored in your long-term memory. Start with something simple, like learning new vocabulary or memorizing historical events, and gradually apply this method to more complex situations. You'll notice yourself becoming more confident and capable of remembering things better in no time. Method 4. The Memory Palace Technique. The Memory Palace Technique, also known as the method of loci, is an ancient memorization method used by Greek and Roman orators to remember long speeches. This method involves associating information you want to remember with specific locations in a familiar space, such as your home or your daily commute route. To apply this method, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Choose a familiar space, like your home. 2. Step 2. Identify specific locations within that space, e.g., front door, living room, kitchen, bedroom. 3. Step 3. Link the information you need to remember to these locations by creating vivid and unusual mental images. 4. Step 4. When you need to recall the information, walk through the space and retrieve the linked information. Real-life example. Imagine you need to remember a shopping list: apples, milk, bread, and eggs. You can use your home as your memory palace. Front door. Picture a giant apple hanging on the door. Living room. Imagine a huge milk carton sitting on the sofa. Kitchen. Visualize a loaf of bread baking in the oven. Bedroom. Picture a giant egg lying on the bed. When you need to recall the shopping list, simply walk through your home and collect the linked information. Why this method works. The memory palace technique leverages the brain's natural ability to remember spaces and images. According to scientific research, the human brain is far better at remembering spatial and visual information than abstract data. A study published in the journal Neuron found that using the memory palace technique enhances activity in the hippocampus, a part of the brain associated with memory and spatial navigation. The famous orator Cicero once said, "Memory is the treasury and guardian of all knowledge." To apply this method, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Choose a familiar space, like your home. 2. Step 2. Identify specific locations within that space, e.g., front door, living room, kitchen, bedroom. 3. Step 3. Link the information you need to remember to these locations by creating vivid and unusual mental images. 4. Step 4. When you need to recall the information, walk through the space and retrieve the linked information. You might find the memory palace technique challenging, especially if you're not used to creating vivid mental images. But remember, this is a skill you can develop and improve over time. Start with something simple, like a shopping list or historical events, and gradually apply this method to more complex situations. You'll notice yourself becoming more confident and capable of remembering things better in no time. Method 5. Chunking. Chunking is a memorization technique that involves breaking down complex information into smaller, more manageable pieces. The human brain has a limited capacity for processing information at once, and chunking helps you overcome this limitation. For example, instead of trying to remember a long string of numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you can break it into smaller chunks like 123-456-789. This not only makes it easier to remember but also helps you process the information more efficiently. Real-life example. Think about how you remember phone numbers. Instead of trying to memorize a sequence of 10 digits, you usually break it into smaller chunks, like 090-123-4567. This is chunking in action. Another example. When learning a long poem, instead of trying to memorize the entire poem at once, you can break it into smaller sections and learn each section separately. This makes it easier to remember and prevents you from feeling overwhelmed. Why this method works. According to research by psychologist George A. Miller, the human brain can process about 7 plus or minus 2 units of information at a time. This means that if you break information into smaller chunks, you can increase your ability to remember and process it. Chunking also helps you create meaningful blocks of information, making it easier for your brain to link and store the information. The famous psychologist George A. Miller once said, "The human brain has a limit to how much information it can process at once, but we can overcome this limit by breaking information into smaller chunks." To apply this method, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Identify the information you need to remember, e.g., a sequence of numbers, a poem, a list. 2. Step 2. Break the information into smaller, meaningful chunks. 3. Step 3. Learn each chunk separately. 4. Step 4. Combine the chunks to form the complete information. You might feel that chunking is a complex process, but remember, it's the most effective way to ensure information is stored in your long-term memory. Start with something simple, like a phone number or a shopping list, and gradually apply this method to more complex situations. You'll notice yourself becoming more confident and capable of remembering things better in no time. Method 6. Multisensory learning. Multisensory learning is a technique based on using multiple senses simultaneously to absorb and process information. Instead of just reading or listening, you can combine sight, hearing, touch, and even taste to enhance your memory. For example, when learning English vocabulary, you can read the word aloud, hearing, write it down, touch, and imagine a related image, sight. Stimulating multiple senses at once helps your brain create more connections, thereby improving your ability to remember. Real-life example. Think about how you learn to cook. You don't just read the recipe. You also watch a tutorial video, sight, listen to the sound of boiling water, hearing, and smell the aroma of the food, smell. All these senses working together help you remember the recipe more easily. Another example, when learning a song, you don't just listen to the music, you also sing along, hearing and touch, and even dance to the rhythm, movement. Combining multiple senses helps you remember the lyrics and melody more quickly. Why this method works? According to scientific research, stimulating multiple senses at once helps the brain create more neural connections. This allows information to be stored deeper and longer in your memory. A study published in Educational Psychology Review found that students who used multisensory learning were 75% more likely to recall information than those who relied on a single sense. The famous educator Maria Montessori once said, "What we learn through multiple senses is retained longer in our memory." To apply this method, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Identify the information you need to remember, e.g., vocabulary, recipes, songs. 2. Step 2. Use multiple senses to absorb the information, read aloud, write it down, visualize images. 3. Step 3. Combine the senses during the learning process. Listen to music, watch videos, practice. 4. Step 4. Repeat the process to reinforce your memory. You might find multisensory learning to be a complex process, but remember, it's the most effective way to ensure information is stored in your long-term memory. Start with something simple, like learning vocabulary or cooking recipes, and gradually apply this method to more complex situations. You'll notice yourself becoming more confident and capable of remembering things better in no time. Remember, memory isn't something you're born with or without. It's a skill you can train and improve every day. And multisensory learning is the key to unlocking the limitless potential of your brain. Method 7. Emotional association. Emotional association is a memorization technique that involves linking the information you want to remember to a strong emotion, such as joy, sadness, surprise, or even fear. Emotions are powerful anchors for memory, and associating information with emotions helps you remember it longer. For example, if you need to remember a historical event, imagine yourself experiencing the emotions of the characters involved. If you need to remember a recipe, link it to the joy of cooking a delicious meal for your family. Real-life example. Think about the last time you watched an emotional movie. You can probably recall specific scenes, the plot, and even the emotions of the characters. That's because emotions help solidify those memories. Another example. When learning a favorite song, you don't just remember the lyrics, you also remember the emotions the song evokes. This makes it easier to recall the song. Why this method works? According to scientific research, emotions are a powerful tool for strengthening memory. When you link information to emotions, your brain creates stronger neural connections, helping the information embed deeper and last longer in your memory. A study published in Nature Neuroscience found that information linked to strong emotions is 70% more likely to be recalled than information without emotional context. The famous psychologist Daniel Goleman once said, "Emotion is the most powerful catalyst for memory. When you link information to emotion, you're creating an indelible imprint in your mind." To apply this method, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Identify the information you need to remember, e.g., historical events, recipes, songs. 2. Step 2. Create a strong emotion related to that information, joy, sadness, surprise. 3. Step 3. Link the information to the emotion by imagining or experiencing the emotion. 4. Step 4. Repeat the process to reinforce the memory. You might find emotional association to be a complex process, but remember, it's one of the most effective ways to ensure information is stored in your long-term memory. Start with something simple, like learning vocabulary or cooking recipes, and gradually apply this method to more complex situations. You'll notice yourself becoming more confident and capable of remembering things better in no time. Method 8. Teaching others. Teaching others is a memorization technique based on explaining what you've learned to someone else or even to yourself. When you teach information, your brain processes it more deeply, helping you understand and remember it better. For example, After studying a chapter in a book, try explaining the content to a friend or to yourself. If you can't explain it clearly, it means you haven't fully understood the material yet. Real-life example. Think about the last time you helped a friend understand a new concept. As you tried to explain the information, you not only helped them but also reinforced your own understanding. Another example. When learning a new skill, like cooking or playing an instrument, try teaching it to someone else. Explaining the steps and techniques will help you remember them longer and understand them more deeply. Why this method works. According to scientific research, teaching others forces your brain to process information more deeply. When you try to explain information in your own words, you create stronger neural connections, helping the information embed deeper and last longer in your memory. A study published in Memory and Cognition found that people who taught others were 90% more likely to recall information than those who simply reread the material. The famous educator Benjamin Franklin once said, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn." To apply this method, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Learn the information you need to remember, e.g., a chapter in a book, a new skill. 2. Step 2. Explain the information to yourself or to someone else. 3. Step 3. Check if you can explain it clearly and accurately. If not, review the information and repeat the process. 4. Step 4. Repeat the process to reinforce your memory. You might find teaching others to be a challenging process, but remember, it's one of the most effective ways to ensure information is stored in your long-term memory. Start with something simple, like learning vocabulary or cooking recipes, and gradually apply this method to more complex situations. You'll notice yourself becoming more confident and capable of remembering things better in no time. Remember, memory isn't something you're born with or without. It's a skill you can train and improve every day. And teaching others is the key to unlocking the limitless potential of your brain. Method 9. Get enough sleep. Getting enough sleep is a crucial factor in strengthening memory and enhancing learning ability. When you sleep, your brain consolidates memories, transferring information from short-term to long-term memory. Make sure you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. Additionally, try to maintain a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. Think about the last time you stayed up late to study or work. You probably felt tired and had trouble focusing the next day. That's because lack of sleep affects your ability to remember and process information. Another example. When learning a new skill, like playing a musical instrument, you might notice that after a good night's sleep, you perform better than the day before. That's because sleep helps solidify what you've learned. According to scientific research, sleep plays a vital role in memory consolidation. When you sleep, your brain processes and stores information, moving it from short-term to long-term memory. A study published in Nature Neuroscience found that people who get enough sleep are 40% more likely to recall information than those who are sleep-deprived. The renowned neuroscientist Matthew Walker once said, "Sleep is the best medicine for memory." When you sleep, you give your brain the opportunity to consolidate and store information. To apply this method, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Ensure you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. 2. Step 2. Maintain a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. 3. Step 3. Create a comfortable sleep environment by turning off electronic devices and reducing light in your bedroom. 4. Step 4. Avoid caffeine or other stimulants before bedtime. You might think getting enough sleep is a simple process, but remember, it's one of the most effective ways to ensure information is stored in your long-term memory. Method 10. Consistent learning habits. Creating consistent learning habits is a memorization technique based on maintaining a regular and continuous study schedule. Instead of cramming at the last minute, you study consistently, giving your brain time to process and store information effectively. To apply this method, create a daily or weekly study plan and stick to it strictly. Make sure you set aside time each day to review and reinforce your knowledge. Real-life example. Think about how you exercise. If you only work out once a week, you won't see much progress. But if you exercise regularly every day, you'll notice significant improvements in your health and fitness. Similarly, learning requires consistency to achieve the best results. Another example: when learning a new language, studying a little every day will help you progress faster than cramming all at once over the weekend. Why this method works? According to scientific research, consistent learning gives your brain time to process and store information effectively. When you study regularly, you create stronger neural connections, helping information embed deeper and last longer in your memory. A study published in Psychological Science found that people who study consistently are 60% more likely to recall information than those who cram. The famous educator John Dewey once said, "Learning is not an event, it's a process. Consistency is the key to success." To apply this method, follow these steps. 1. Step 1. Create a daily or weekly study plan. 2. Step 2. Set aside time each day to review and reinforce your knowledge. 3. Step 3. Stick to your study schedule strictly, avoiding last-minute cramming. 4. Step 4. Evaluate and adjust your study plan to fit your needs and abilities. You might find creating consistent learning habits challenging, but remember, it's the most effective way to ensure information is stored in your long-term memory. Start by creating a daily study plan and gradually build better learning habits. You'll notice yourself becoming more confident and capable of remembering things better in no time. Throughout this video, we've explored 10 powerful techniques to help you remember everything for the rest of your life. 1. Visualization. Turn information into vivid mental images. 2. Active recall. Test yourself instead of passively reviewing. 3. Spaced repetition. Review information at increasing intervals. 4. Memory palace. Link information to familiar locations. 5. Chunking. Break information into smaller, manageable pieces. 6. Multisensory learning. Engage multiple senses to enhance memory. 7. Emotional association. Connect information to strong emotions. 8. Teaching others. Explain what you've learned to reinforce understanding. 9. Sleep and memory consolidation. Prioritize quality sleep to solidify memories. 10. Consistent learning habits. Build a regular study routine for long-term success. Remember, improving your memory isn't about being born with a great mind, it's about training and persistence. Each of these methods is a tool to help you unlock your brain's full potential. Start small, pick 1 or 2 techniques, and practice them consistently. Over time, you'll notice a dramatic improvement in your ability to recall names, facts, ideas, and skills. The journey to a sharper memory and a more successful life begins with a single step. Stay committed, stay curious, and never stop challenging yourself. With enough determination and effort, you'll not only remember more but also achieve more in every aspect of your life, financially, socially, and even romantically. Thank you so much for watching this video and joining us on this journey to unlock your memory potential. Your support means the world to us, and I'm thrilled to have you as part of the Wisdom Life community. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, family, or anyone who could benefit from these techniques. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on new content that can take your self-improvement journey even further. Remember, you're not just watching a video, you're building the person you're meant to be. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for greatness. We believe in you. See you in the next video.